You're standing in line at the grocery store, and the cashier's just ringing through the last few items of the person ahead of you. They pay for their stuff, thank the cashier, and right before they walk away, you hear them say to the cashier, Werk. What does it mean? If you work in an environment where Dutch is spoken, or you've literally just been out in public in the Netherlands where work is being performed, then you have probably heard people saying this in some form. And if you've tried to look this up, then you already know that there is pretty much no English translation available online. But roughly speaking, I would interpret this to mean good luck at work or enjoy the rest of your shift. So the first word on this list is the word ze. As the website Taal.nl explains, this can be used in many other situations, not just about work. Generally speaking, if you see or hear this combination, the speaker is wishing you luck or is hoping that you enjoy whatever you are about to do. And whatever you're about to do is indicated by the verb that comes before ze. So other common examples are sport ze, which means enjoy your workout, or eet ze, which means enjoy your meal, or slaap ze, which means have a good sleep. Number 2 is the word Tjongejonge. And yes, this is a word. It can even be found in the Taal dictionary. Tjongejonge, tussenwerpsel, uitroep van verwondering. So, in other words, you use this to exclaim your amazement or wonder. Funny enough, learning this word was actually part of the curriculum of the very first Dutch course that I took. So that just goes to show you how important they found it to beginners who are learning the language. My teacher specifically told us that we could add more and more jonges to the end to make it even more dramatic.
Tjongejonge.
I feel like the best translation for this one in English is saying like, my goodness. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this one can be used in both a positive or negative reaction, depending on how you say it. Number 3 is the word joh. There are a few different ways you can use the word joh, but I've come across 3 that I hear the most often. Number 1 is at the beginning or end of a sentence. So I often hear it being used this way when someone is addressing someone else informally. I would compare it to saying man or dude in English. So you would probably only use this one with someone you are very familiar with. So for example, you might hear someone say something like, doe even normaal joh, which means like, just be normal, dude, or like, chill out, man, where the joh is referring to the person that you're speaking to.
Doe even rustig, joh.
The second way you might hear joh is at the end of a short response, like, nee joh. But come to think of it, even depending on the way you say it, this could even have multiple different meanings. You could say, nee joh, because you disagree with something that someone just said to you.
We waren bang dat het misschien gedoe zou geven. Nee, joh.
Or you could say, nee joh, because you're surprised by something that someone just said to you.
We hebben al een bod uitgebracht en dat is geaccepteerd.
Nee joh!
Either way, I guess you could translate this one to no way in English, but with different connotations depending on your tone. The third one is just joh, on its own as like a sarcastic response to something that someone has said that was really obvious. For example, het is echt koud buiten in de winter. Joh. In English, I think I'd probably translate this one as no kidding or you think. The fourth word on this list is mwah. Again, this one is a word and you can find it in the Taal dictionary. It says mwah, om twijfel of gematigd enthousiasme uit te drukken. So it's used to express doubt or like mild so-so enthusiasm.
Heb ik opgeslapen? Ja, mwah. Nee, mwah.
You can literally give this as a one-word answer if you want to explain that something is just okay or meh in English. Number 5 is the word zeg, like in the example, lekker zeg. Zeg doesn't really have an English translation in this construction, but it is used to strengthen or add emphasis. So one example that comes to mind, if you're at a restaurant and you see your food coming to the table and it's placed in front of you, you could say like lekker, which indicates, oh, that looks great. Or you could also say lekker zeg, which is the exact same thing, but just with a little more strength, a little more emphasis.
Oh, wat ruikt dat lekker zeg.
By the way, this is not a replacement for thank you, so please still say thank you to your servers. And you won't only hear zeg with lekker, but you'll hear it with all kinds of different adjectives as well. Another one that I feel like I've started to hear more and more often is nou ja zeg, which is said in an annoying tone.
Gooi tegen de kop. Nou ja, zeg.
I interpret that to be like, Come on, are you kidding me? Number 6 is the word zo. Again, a few different ways to use this one, but for the purposes of this video, I will mention 3 common ones. The first way is an adjective plus zo. And the best way I can describe this construction is that the zo is referring to something that's been done or the manner in which something's been done. So let's use a really common example. Goed zo. Imagine you're with your child walking in your neighborhood and you come across a neighbor who's walking their dog. Your child wants to pet the dog, but you just want to make sure they're not too rough with it, so you ask them to please be gentle. So when the child pets the dog really sweet and gently, a typical response would be to say goed zo to the child. So the goed means good or correct, and the zo is referring to the way they pet the dog. So it's like saying, good job with the way you pet the dog.
Ja, netjes. Goed zo.
The second way you might hear zo is as the opener of a sentence. And I feel like in this case, it's a lot like saying so in English.
Zo, dit is één modelletje.
And the third way is using zo on its own as an exclamation of your amazement or surprise. And in that case, it would be written like so.
Ben je veel geld verloren in crypto?
Ja, heel veel. 10.000?
Zo.
Zoiets?
Number 7 is the word hoor. There's something I love about this word. It's just so nuanced and I can't think of anything like it in English. Surprise, surprise, it can be used in a few different ways. Now, I'm not Dutch, so despite the fact that I've gotten a pretty good feel of how to use this word when I'm speaking Dutch, I don't know the full entire scope of it. So I consulted the website, the Dutch Online Academy, for a breakdown of the word hoor. All the examples I'm about to give are directly from her article, which I'll link in the description below. So let's take this little exchange as our lead example. Oeps, ik ben mijn portemonnee vergeten. Mag ik €5 lenen? Ja hoor. So she writes in her article, the answer could have simply been yeah, but in most cases, you'll actually hear ja hoor instead. So why is that? What does this little word add? Now the answer depends on the context, but even more so on the intonation. So if the tone is normal or happy, then it strengthens the ja. So it's like saying, yeah, or don't worry about it. You don't even have to ask. It's no problem at all. If the tone is sarcastic or with some disbelief, then it's like saying, yeah, right, and I'm supposed to believe that. And if the tone is tired or accompanied by a sigh, then it might mean something like, really? You forgot your wallet again? Okay, well, here's the €5, but I'm getting pretty sick of this. Okay, let's look at another example she gives on her website. Peter walks into the kitchen and is wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and sandals. His girlfriend's eating breakfast at the table. She looks over at him and she says, het regent en het is 12 graden hoor. This means something like, I don't know what you were thinking when you got dressed this morning, but it seems like you need this information about what the actual conditions outside are. So in English, it would be like saying, you realize it's raining and 12 degrees outside, right? Here's another example. You're in the kitchen making an elaborate meal. Your roommate walks in and sees that everything is in complete and utter chaos. You look at your roommate and you would say, ik ruim alles op hoor. This means something like, don't worry, I know what you're thinking, but I'm gonna take care of it. So, as you can see from these examples, hoor on its own doesn't have a specific meaning, but it comes with an emotion that's completely dependent on the tone and the context in which you use it. By the way, pronunciation tip, people tend to really combine the hoor with the word they use before it. So it's not ja hoor, but ja hoor.
Mag het een onsje meer zijn?
Ja hoor, geen probleem.
Fijn.
Number 8 on this list is the word he. I'll mention 3 different ways you can use this little word. Number 1 is he, to express your confusion or surprise. It's no different from saying huh in English. I remember finding it really difficult to adopt this one into my vocabulary because it's such a spontaneous off-guard reaction that you have absolutely no time to think about your language. You just say what's natural. So I would always say huh, but at some point that starts to sound weird combined with Dutch. Now, obviously, it's become so second nature that I have to be careful not to let a he slip out when I'm speaking English.
Waar is mijn sleutel nou? Waar is die nou? Ik had hem net nog hier. Hè?
The second way you can use this is the famous he.
Zo. Hè?
It's what you say in the same breath as a sigh to indicate feeling relief or fulfilled or tired. I don't know how I lived without this before I learned Dutch. It has become such an essential part of my vocabulary. And lastly is the he at the end of a sentence. My Canadian heart skipped a beat when I heard this one for the first time because this is literally the Dutch version of a. So in this construction, you can add he to the end of a sentence to kind of ask for the validation or agreement of the person you're talking to. For example, you've just reached the hilltop after doing a hike with a friend. Both of you are taking in the view and you look to your friend and you ask, mooi hè? To which they might answer, heel mooi. So it's just like asking, beautiful, isn't it? Number 9 on this list is Hoppakee. This is used as an exclamation of encouragement or excitement, and it is usually accompanied with the coordination of some physical movement or activity.
Dan hebben wij een klein beetje dikke bleek. Ook wel een gloor, hoppakee.
Ja.
Maybe it could be translated to here we go in English, but to be honest, I haven't really found a great one-to-one translation for this one. There are a bunch of variations of this. You have Hoppakee, hup, hoppa, hupsakee, hatsikidee, hatseflats, huts, and many, many, many more, which I'm sure you guys are all gonna share with me in the comments below. Maybe one way to think of this one is if you have some heavy grocery bags or shopping bags and you want to transfer them from the ground to your car, you might say Hoppakee as you clunk the bags into the back of your car. I don't know, it's almost like a form of encouragement or something you do to brace yourself, to brace your body for some kind of physical movement. That's all 9 of the words I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, you may also like this video I posted on common Dutch expressions. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my videos, and I'll see you next time.